Sure, we're going to start introducing the concept of how to make use of existing functions that you previously written. So we have the RGB code, which basically cycled through the colors in the rainbow fashion after it first of all did an initial test of red, green, and blue colors. And now we've also introduced the LDR, where we use the state of the LDR to blink an LED or to switch an LED on. So what I'm going to do is try to cycle through the rainbow of the RGB using the state of the LDR. And since we have our RGB code already, we're going to make use of that. So the main trick here is to make sure that you put both sketches in the same folder. Now you want your top level sketch to have the same name as your folder, or you want your folder to have the same name of your top level sketch, in this case LDR 3. Once you double click it, you should have both sketches open for you in Arduino automatically, and Arduino recognizes the top level sketch. So what you want to do is to keep all the functions. Like here we've got the rainbow function, and we should have all the functions that defines the state of the LED, the cycle function, previously written cycle LED, and we have also kept the functions that defines the state of the LEDs on there. And I have deleted the setup, of course, so you have no setup in your sub sketches, and you have no loop in the sub sketch as well. So it's just a collection of the functions that we're keeping on there. So in my top sketch, you can see I've got the setup and the loop setup function, which is also the function that runs only once, and then you've got the loop function on there in the top level sketch, which in our case is LDR 3. So I've simply copied and pasted the initializations from my RGB sketch, and the RGB, we have the red LED connected to pin A1 and green LED connected to pin A0 and blue LED connected to pin A2, and there is a value integer to tell the value that we're currently on. Then for our LDR variables, the LDR is connected to pin 2, and we also have the LDR value to tell the current value of the LDR. So in the setup, function, I've split or separated the LDR from that of the RGB setup. So in the light dependent resistor is an input where we'll be telling the state of the light, and you can include a serial monitor if you want, so we can initialize the serial monitor on there. And we have initialized all the RGB pins to outputs, and to give it an initial state, I switched on off all the colors. Then I call the cycle function, where basically cycle through all the main color states of the RGB. So in the loop, I want to read the state of the LDR, but as a digital input, and then assign it to the LDR value. So I have a variable that so if it is dark, it's going to give a state 1, and if it is bright, it's going to give a state 0. So if LDR val means if the value of the LDR is 1, if it is dark, then I just want to cycle through the rainbow state. So basically, if the LDR is covered or the surrounding is in the dark, it will switch off, it will switch on the sequence of the rainbow. Else, I just want the LDR to go off, which means LED off. Then you can show the value on the serial monitor.